Hey G.I. Joe fans, Joe Motion Videos 82 here. I'm doing this video, how could I put it? In regards to a comment that Andrew made. It just spurned so many thoughts about toy collecting. And dude, thank you. I penned that comment, by the way. He mentioned that some people call collecting a disease. I am not a psychologist. I don't pretend to be a psychologist. I study psychology. Yeah, I'm a huge nerd. I study it out of just simple interest. Um, as I wonder, what makes people tick. And yeah, it I did take some psychology courses in college, which I had to for my career because I do deal with uh, the public. Being a respiratory therapist, I do run into many um, psychological, what we call pathologies. Uh, and I won't get further into that, but yeah, it's very interesting to me. And people calling collecting a disease in general, what I told him in my comment was 99%, it could be even more, 99.9% of collectors do it in a very healthy manner. Uh, when it becomes unhealthy is when you go into debt, collecting. Um, it overtakes your life, meaning it pushes you out of your living space. Just looking at that TV show Hoarders. Those are very very extreme and unhealthy cases. Uh, when you become so emotionally attached to what you collect, you cannot give them away, sell them, um, trade them, etc. Uh, yeah, there are things that we are attached to naturally through our childhood, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is healthy. That's a healthy attachment. Like that favorite teddy bear that we had as a child and that we may still have, that we've passed on to our children, or something special that a family member has given you, is no longer with you, or may still be with you, but it's something that's cherished. Those are healthy attachments. Um, Collecting, um, I think now more than ever, it has become more open to the eyes of the public, thanks to the miracle, and I do say miracle, of the internet. It is a miracle. Here I could talk to somebody across the world and in real time, and it's amazing. I talked to an old buddy in England. I talked to Bjorn via Twitter in Norway. It's it's amazing. I just can't wrap my mind around it. It's such a wonderful thing. And then the phenomenon, the miracle of um, sites like eBay. It has made the world a marketplace. It's the world's swap meet or flea market, depending on what you want to call it. And it has made things available that we ordinarily couldn't get. Yeah, it has driven down the prices of some things because of the rarity of them just being in one state, one country, where you could only get it in certain areas of where you lived or what nation you lived in, unless you traveled outside of your country and were able to pick things up. But now, all you have to do is get on a site such as eBay and buy it. And I think that is absolutely amazing. Um, when I purchase things from other countries, I don't know if you guys do this, but with me, I marvel at it for a little bit. Just looking at the box, it's like, wow, this came from the Netherlands. This was in another country just 2 weeks ago. And what other countries did it pass through to get to me? Who touched it? And I love the postage from other countries. I save this. I'm not a I can't remember the proper term for stamp collectors, but I know it falls under an numismatist, somebody who collects coins, currency. Please forgive the outdoor noise. The Air Force is flying their sorties. To me, that's one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, next to the laughter of a child. I just like looking at stamps from other nations, and I've even kept some of the packaging from other nations, just because it's so novel to me. Collecting is different. It's personal for everybody. Some people do it so they could turn around and resell it to make a profit. The people who go to toy cons, who are exhibitors at toy cons, your small business owners, the vintage toy shops, comic book shops. Those people aren't collecting for themselves. They're collecting all of these toys to make a living. And then there are people such as myself, who collect out of the joy of doing it. It's a hobby for me, for one. I get a lot of joy out of watching people's eyes light up, that come over and see my collection. Is like, oh wow, there's like, more times than not, people have said, I had that as a kid. Wow, is that the real thing, or is that a remake? And I was like, no, that's the real thing. Yeah, 1985. I give the history of the toy, and they absolutely love it, and it brings back those memories and those feelings. And that was actually a story from an exterminator. The same guy, ironically, has come by every year, because I live in a termite zone here in Arizona. So once a year, I have to have the house inspected and sprayed, and bait is put out, because termites are really bad out here. And ironically, it's been the same guy. And so when he comes over, like last year, he came over, and automatically oh, I remember you. I remember this house. I said, yes. I said, you came by last year. I said, your favorite action figure is Taurus, because you are a Taurus. That's your birth sign. He said, you have a very good memory. Uh, yeah, there's things that stick with me, but it was something that I could relate to. And so, I brought him back here to my collection room, and AKA YouTube studio, and bedroom as well. So yeah, I sleep around my toy collection, and that um, is surprisingly comforting. It's like that child that has to have that favorite teddy bear to sleep with. I could sleep anywhere, but I find a lot of peace and comfort just being surrounded by things that bring me joy. So to me, that's part of what collecting is about. And I get a lot of joy out of sharing my collection. That's why I hold giveaways. That's why I participate in Timmer's annual Christmas charity, and that is for a good cause. It's I don't do it just because of that. Um, I do it because I get to share some of my collection with somebody, and I had told Andrew in my comment that if I could make at least one person smile a day, I feel complete. And that's the truth. Um, the whole always be kind to people. It's not just a shtick. It's not a tagline for me. It's the truth. I do my very best to be kind to everybody. And so that's part of why I do these giveaways, is to bring a little bit of joy into somebody's life. And yes, it is true. I wish I could give every one of you something, but I would run out of toys in one giveaway. Um, it's it's just to that point, that I have so many viewers that, well, actually not one giveaway, maybe two or three. Give thought behind it. With yojo.com, you could, when you log on, it keeps track of your collection. Um, so it tells you how many items you have, and you could always add to that. Like if you pick up another Sky Striker, you could log in and click on the Sky Striker and add +1 or -1 or +2, so on and so forth. So that adds to your collection number. Um, so yeah, I think with everything that I own in toys, I could give it all away in hold three giveaways, and it would all be gone. Yeah, there are some things that I would not part with, because they were mine as a child, and I've had them since I could remember. A lot of my daughter has all my Star Wars toys. My nephew has my Masters Universe toys, and I kept that stuff for the purpose of passing it on to my posterity. And unfortunately, I only have one child, so my daughter really loves Star Wars, and who doesn't really? I have not yet met one person who does not at least like the movies. Um, so she has that collection. Um, my I don't have any sons, so my brother Ben, I gave my Masters Universe toys to his son because Ben and I played with those together. So yeah, that's part of why I hung on to a lot of these things. And there are things in my GI Joe collection that I just would not part with because I've had them all these years, 40 plus years. And I can still remember the day that I got it. And I tell those stories of my childhood memory. So this is a video journal in a way. And I know a lot of you guys, if not all of you, enjoy those childhood memories because it brings back those memories for you as well, and that makes me feel really good. It really does. Hearing you guys reading your reply saying, "Oh yeah, I remember epic backyard battles," or carrying having one fang for all of us, all of our friends together, and you know taking your toys to your friend's house and so on and so forth, and getting to enjoy that with relive those memories. And that's part of it, of holding on to those, because I relive those memories. And sentimental value, of course, falls into that factor. But there's a lot of things in my collection now that I wouldn't have any problem giving away or sell or trade for, because I don't have any emotional attachment to it, and that's a big part of it for some people, is the emotional attachment. For some people, collecting is getting the things that you wanted as a child you never got, but now you have the means to do it. And for me, that's most of what it is. It's having those um, having the means to purchase those toys that I never was able to get as a child. And that brings me to the next point, to the mental health aspect of collecting. Um, Stay within a budget. That is, set aside a budget. Everybody needs a hobby. Um, we need some sort of an outlet. Everybody does. Everybody deserves to be happy. And set aside a budget that you know that you could afford. Once all your bills are paid, and you still have a cushion in the bank if you fell on hard times that you could live off of. Um, Set aside a budget for your collection. And this is, again, speaking from experience. And you could, say, $60 a month, or save that up for that one big thing that you want. The Goldhead Steel Brigade, if that's your one chase item that you want, the crown jewel of your collection, or it could be the USS Flag. Save that money. The flag, oh my gosh, it's a few $1,000s now. Save the money to buy that. Um, if I were to get the flag, I would have to move my bed out of this room. Um, Heaven forbid, my mom, she would not let me take the couch out of the living room so I could set up a 7 foot toy, um, in the room, which the USS Flag still holds the record for the largest toy ever made. Um, and what good would it be if it couldn't be displayed, and just keeping it in a box? And that's something that Brian, HCC 788, has mentioned, that you know they his toy collection, he feels, has to be displayed, and keeping it in boxes, what's the point? Um, there are some things I do keep in boxes, the things that tend to yellow. And, out here, Arizona is sunny about 300 days out of the year. So there's a lot of UV rays that are coming in. And so all the toys that will yellow, I keep those in boxes now, especially all the white action figures. Um, Shipwreck, and yeah, or because we know that Shipwreck, his shirt yellows. Same thing with Spirit and Cutter. So those guys are in boxes too, and I have an extra one that I keep out on display. Um, so yeah, set aside a budget for your collection. Um, Nothing. Uh, well, there is reasonable debt. Um, your education, a mortgage, a car are all considered reasonable debt to have. Yeah, we need good credit to purchase these things, so having credit cards and using them helps build your credit. So that's also considered within reasonable debt. And these are things I learned from my former wife, and she's an accountant, and she taught me a lot, because my collecting was starting to get a little out of hand, and she was trying to, Byron, stop, 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 stop. Um, and I didn't understand that. So what she did was made a pie chart. And I understand graphs, charts, things like that. That's just how my mind works. And that was what my education is. A lot of my education is based on charts, graphs, reading numbers. I could look at a bunch of squiggly lines and actually understand what they mean. Um, so she made a pie chart one day, and that opened my eyes, because there's this huge section of the pie chart that she wrote Byron's collection, and I saw the percentage of our household income that I was spending on it, and that opened my eyes, and that's what got me going on a budget and build on a budget is something that spawned from that as well. And what do I mean by build on a budget? I've talked about this with a lot of toys. Um, yeah, that, like yesterday, um, I reviewed version 2 of the Cobra Rattler, and that is without a doubt a very popular, not version 2 as much as version 1, a popular toy to collect. With it's a trophy piece for some people, and it's selling for a couple $100s or more, um, even more so in a box. But what I mean by build on a budget, you buy it as complete as you can, and say, well, I it does require a little bit of research. Look at the prices of what it's selling for. And the best way to do that is look at an auction, follow an auction, and see what the selling price was. And say, well, I don't want to spend more than $150. Okay, well, buy that individual toy as complete as you can, and then slowly buy the missing parts, and pay close attention to the shipping, because um, that's an invisible gotcha, because we just keep in mind, okay, I'm spending this much on on this part, but you're paying for the shipping and their sales tax. So you got to watch out for those things to stay within the budget. Yeah, it takes a little bit of brain power, it takes a little bit of work, but ultimately it will pay off. Um, like my um, tiger rat, I bought it 90% complete um, for $55. And I slowly bought the parts that I needed for it. And um, I think just over the period of time, if I remember right, it came out to be around 110 that was spent over a period of a few months that I bought on, you know, the missiles that were missing. It was missing the engine parts. There were things on it that I obviously had to add. So that's what I mean by build on a budget. Um, when you're collecting, when a good a good way of noticing when your collection has become an addiction, and this is for any addiction, is when it starts to interfere with your daily life. It starts to interfere with your work. Um, uh, if, if you're spending more money than you know you have the means to spend, if it's consuming your life, getting it, interrupting relationships, that's when it becomes an addiction. And you know that's when personally I would seek help. I would find a psychologist and talk to them about it because there's some underlying cause. There is always an underlying cause for these things. It all stems from childhood trauma, and that's a Freudian theory that still has not been disproved. And so, um, yeah, that when your spending becomes, or when your collecting becomes an addiction, that's when you need to, and you realize that this is out of control. And you will notice it. Um, you know when it is too much, and that's when you need to hit the brakes and say, you know what, I need to stop. And there is no shame in getting help. There is no shame in saying, hi, my name is so and so, I have a problem with spending. Hi, my name is so and so, I'm a drug addict. Hi, my name is so and so, I'm an alcoholic. Hi, my name is so and so, I'm a sex addict. There is no shame in admitting those faults. It's liberating. Um, so, um, yeah, that it's such a great topic that he touched on, and I hope that this isn't becoming too verbose or seeming like I'm preaching. I don't want it to be that way. I just want to elaborate more on that topic, because collecting is a heck of a lot of fun. You guys know it. I know it. If you're watching this channel, you're more than likely a collector, or at least interested in toys, or getting started in collecting. Um, it is so much fun. Half the fun is finding that one thing and saying, yes, I finally have it. And reveling in that and allowing yourself that small victory. That's that's the joy of it. It's a very wonderful collection, a wonderful hobby to have is collecting. And then there are people who do customizing, making that one toy that was never made and making it yourself. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter. His handle is Boil and Pop, um, which is a collector's term for with Star Wars figures. You would boil them, soften the plastic, and remove the limbs and the head, and make an action figure that you wanted that was never made. And there are people like Painted Plastic, who the guy, creative creative genius in my opinion, who cuts apart these toys and creates a whole new toy. And his paint airbrushing skills are fantastic. If you haven't watched his channel, please head over to his channel. It's Painted Plastic. That's the name of the channel. And he not only does G.I. Joe, but he's painted models before. And he just doesn't limit himself to one thing. And he's made different action figures for these vehicles. And there are so many other people out there that do that as well. Toy Polloi, that man, I think he has to be an engineer, because he shows you how to repair these vintage toys, and he'll tell you where to buy the parts that you need. The Skulls Reviews is another guy who he restores the 12-inch Joes. He'll redo the flocking of the hair. He'll clean the toys. He replaces the stretched out elastic that held the joints together, held the arms and the legs on, and the head. And I didn't know how those things actually were held together until I started watching his channel. And it is so simple. With just simple household tools, he restores a toy back to brand new. And it's amazing watching the creativity of these people. And and that's the fun of collecting, the fun of sharing. So if collecting is getting to the point for you where it is becoming unhealthy, I encourage you to reach out for some help. But if it's still within your financial means and you have room for it, go for it, man. You see, there's stuff all around me, and if there's any empty space, I could fill it. I've become creative. I've hung all my aircraft from the ceiling. If there's an empty space, I'll put a toy in it. And if it starts to feel too crowded, I'll take it down for a little bit and then put something else new in its place later on. But for me, it's just a matter of room. So I've slowed way down on buying things. So that's just that's the end of the topic of this video. It's something I felt that just that Andrew's comment really spurred that thought for me, and it's something I've been pondering for a while, about collecting. Um, yeah, if it overtakes your life, and that's when it becomes an unhealthy addiction, becomes hoarding. I used to live next door to a hoarder, and he had having to step over things and anything and everything that man had inside of his house and outside. And he was saying that he had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff and the value of everything. And I was thinking, then why don't you sell it? But it wasn't about that. It's, this is the mind of a child. It wasn't about the money. It was about just having it. So, anyway, you guys, that's the end of my topic. So I hope you learned something from this and not taking it as being a sermon or a lecture in any way, but I hope you find it educational and from the eyes of another collector. As always, remember, be kind to everyone, especially be kind to animals. They know nothing but unconditional love, and especially be kind to yourself. And that's part of what toy collecting does for me. It's showing myself a little kindness, but that's also taking care of my physical and mental health as well. And yes, I am, for those of you who have expressed your concern for my health, yes, I am starting to really pay closer attention to that. And yeah, those migraines, it just came out of nowhere, and we found out the cause of it, and it's been taken care of by a neurologist, so those are not so much of a problem now. So yeah, it's been, that was tough. Try, a migraine for 35 days. I'm not saying that to brag. That was pure hell. Um, so anyway, you guys take care of yourselves. Have fun in life as well, especially on Halloween. Go to parties. Take your kids out trick or treating. Take your nephews, your nieces, your grandchildren, whoever, out trick or treating. Have a great time. Just enjoy the beauty of life. So, until Friday, when Count Vampire makes his appearance for Friday Night Frights, this is Joe Motion Videos 82 signing off. You guys take care. Great talking to you again. And thanks for leaving your comments. Talk to you later.